We are upping the Taco Tuesday at my house with pozole rojo and corn tortillas that we are making from corn that we are nixtamalizing ourselves. Oh yes, we are grinding it up, nixtamalizing. I'm going to show you how. Oh, and I made flan as well because why not? All right, y'all, we're just going to be hopping right into this. How to nixtamalize corn. And you need to nixtamalize your corn if you're going to make corn tortillas and also the hominy that I use for the pozole rojo. So this is corn that I got from Masienda. Love them. And links to all these recipes will be in the description box below. So what you're seeing here is nixtamalizing corn is basically corn, dried corn, and it needs to have some sort of this mixture made with calcium lime. This is something you can get in many places. But as you can see, I used the whole bag I got from Masienda, which is 2.2 pounds of the dried corn. And then to that, I measured out 12 grams or 4 teaspoons of the calcium lime. I added a little bit of water to that calcium lime to make a little bit of a slurry, added it to my dried corn, mixed it up, and then I just have that all in a pot and then added enough water to cover it by about 4 inches. Give it a good stir. And then you take that over to your stovetop like you see me doing here. Bring it up to a boil and then you're going to simmer it. So I like to put a lid on it, help to make it go faster. And then I check on it every 10 minutes. You are going to want to do this the night before because after this process, it then has to sit for anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. So I always do this the night before that I'm kneading it. And so what I'm doing is every 10 minutes or so, I'm checking and stirring this corn and I'm looking for the skins to be easily coming off the corn. And I also taste a bit of it, seeing where basically I'm wanting it to be cooked to about an al dente. You know, it's kind of like the boiled peanut type texture if you're from the South and know all about boiled peanuts. And whenever it gets to the point where those skins are easily coming off, it's cooked, the corn is cooked to that al dente. I then cover it up with a lid and then I let it, I take it off the heat completely and let it sit overnight. You know, it can be up to 18 or even 24 hours with it sitting there before we get to the next step. So with my corn that I have here, this actually took me about 35 or 40 minutes to get it to where it was ready to go. So it will vary on the type of corn that you have. But in the meantime, while waiting for this, hey y'all, my name is Felicia. Welcome to Grains and Grit if you're new, or welcome back if you've been here before. And as I stated, I'm going to be teaching y'all all about nixtamalizing this corn. So when this gets to a good point, I set it aside, put a lid on, set it aside, and I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Okay, so this is my beautiful corn that has been sitting overnight. You can see it's quite slimy, but the skins come off well and it's al dente cooked. So now we got to rinse it. So we're going to pour it in the colander here. Don't know if mine, I think mine is big enough to do it all. And then according to the Masa book, we rinse to about 50% of this. In previous videos, I would rinse and rinse and rinse until like all of it was off. So I'm not going to do that today. That will save me work. I am a fan of less work. So let's start rinsing. All right. All right, and that is looking and feeling pretty good. I have to say this is so much easier than the typical dent corn that I use, but this is where, you know, I'm not feeling the sliminess. And yeah, that's been done very, very well. Now you can see my sink is clogged. So I do have one of these things here. So you can see, like, you know, it is catching the skins and all of that. So let's drain this a bit more here. And then we got to do the next batch. So long as you cooked it right, you got it to the nixtamal the night before, those skins come off so easily. Now from here, you can choose to snap off these little tips here, but no way am I doing that because that will take half my life. So that just means it'll be a bit speckled, and that's okay. All right, so let's do the rest of it. Okay, so I'm here with my beautiful nixtamal. Now let's talk about what you can do from here. From here, according to my Masa cookbook, is from here you can actually freeze this. So that way you already have pozole ready to go, or you can place in the fridge. Now, if you're wanting this in the fridge, they say it'll last up to about 1 week. Freezing, it can last up to a year. So that way you can do like a big batch, put it in your freezer, and then you have it ready to go whenever you're wanting to dump in the recipes. Now, with this is before cooking. So to make pozole, we still have to cook this corn, which they state can take anywhere from like 3 to 6 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that going because again, the pozole that you buy in the store, the hominy you buy in the store, that's already cooked. So that way you can dump it in. But we haven't cooked this yet. So we got to cook this. So I'm going to be measuring this out to the amount of hominy I need for my pozole that we'll be doing today. The rest of it I'm wanting to make into tortillas. So we're going to be doing that. And I have to assemble my Victoria grinder to grind this up into masa harina. So they sell at Masienda the Victoria grinder. I do have the Wonder Jr Deluxe hand mill, which states that it can do masa harina. And that's what I showed y'all the last time I did a video on nixtamal. And I have to say, like, it doesn't work. I don't know why. It might be my error. I don't know. I have tried so many different ways, and it's just so much faster where I've thrown it in my food processor, you know, to do it. It's a bit coarser, but it works. So yeah, so we're going to try this one out because especially it's a lot cheaper than that Wonder Jr Deluxe grain mill, but I have to assemble it. We're going to try this to grind up for the masa, but the pozole, we just need to cook on stovetop like you would any sort of like beans, things like that. And they have a recipe here in their masa book. So let me see. They just state, yep, you fill a pot with enough water, cover it with about 2 inches of water, bring to a boil, and then lower to a simmer, medium-high heat. And then you add your nixtamal. And you cook until softened to your desired texture, anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. And then we throw it into our pozole, which we will be doing in a bit. So according to my recipe for pozole rojo, or red pozole, I need 3 cans or 15 to 15 and a half ounces, 425 to 239 grams of white hominy drained and rinsed. Okay, so let me measure that out. So basically what that means is it comes out to about 6 cups of this. And if I don't have enough to make tortillas, that's fine. I'm just gonna grab some masa harina that I already have and use that. So let me measure this out and get a bowl. Okay, so that was about half of what I need. I went ahead and put it in a pot. We're gonna cover this up, get to a boil, and then just start cooking this. You can cook this in chicken stock if you want. I'm just gonna do it in water because it's gonna be thrown into a soup later. All right, so we now have that going. Now let's assemble this bad boy. See what we can do. Okay, so once again, this is the Victoria hand grind mill. I went ahead and got it from Masienda, and it is considerably cheaper than my Wonder Jr Deluxe. Now, a few things about this is only for wet grains, and I'll mention that later. But if you see me looking at the box and see me struggle with this, this is not difficult to put together. I just accidentally threw away the instructions, like the genius that I am. So I'm kind of going by purely visual with the box, but it was easy to put together. This is solid cast iron. It feels really amazing. I do recommend this. It did so well grinding this up, as you will see in just a bit. But yeah, so it was a little bit of a struggle to put it together solely because I just didn't have the directions. But even without the directions, you know, it was simple enough. I could figure it out. To say this thing is solid. Yeah, that's feeling good. Okay, let's try this. See if it's easier than the Wonder Mill. All right, my corn is bubbly. We're gonna bring that down. Let's see how it goes. So I'm adding in just a little bit here. Oh, wow. That comes through so easily. Okay, let me see it here. Yeah, that's feeling good. It's still a little coarse. Let's see if we can tighten this up a bit. Okay. Wow, that's working perfectly. Ha, win. And it's not that difficult to do, I will say. Let me see. Yeah, still feeling a little bit gritty here. So let me loosen that up. Okay, let's see if that does better. Okay, it is a bit harder to grind, but yeah, that's starting to feel better. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, so basically I just kept adjusting it until I was getting it to basically as fine as possible. So with masa harina, I do want it as fine as I can, and it does get a little bit more difficult to grind the finer it goes, but still not bad. And it just did so much better than the Wonder Jr Deluxe. So just know that this is only for wet grains. You can probably use it for nut butter, grinding up coffee, but this is not for dry grains. But for this masa, for wetter stuff, I definitely recommend this. I really do like this grain mill. Okay, it is time for the tortillas to be making these. Now again, I am not sure. I've not made it with this corn yet, with this mill yet, so I'm not sure how fine it is. So I may be turning these into tostadas, where we just fry up the tortillas if they're not as flexible, things like that, but we will see. But in the meantime, just know that whenever you are preparing your masa dough, you want to go ahead and be preheating your comal or skillet or griddle or whatever it is that you're going to be cooking these tortillas on. You want it on high because you want it very, very hot. So that can be going while you're mixing this up. So I have my masa dough from earlier, and it has gotten, a little dried, but it still is able to like kind of come together and stuff. But this is too dry to make tortillas, and we need to knead it just a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to add it to my mixer here. And I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water. And then let's start kneading this. And I'm wanting to get it a good consistency that I'm used to seeing with masa harina dough. Okay, so basically what you see right now is where it's quite crumbly. Okay, it's not sticking together. We're basically going to be kneading it a bit. That helps. And then adding enough water where it's going to be able to stick together to make those tortillas. Okay, let's check it here. All right, yeah, it's feeling good. It is feeling a bit wet, but that actually feels pretty good. So I want to examine this masa dough. You can see it's got this texture to it, and this is because I did not take the tips off of the corn. So if this bugs you, then by all means, feel free to take the time on every individual kernel to get the tip off. I don't care. So I'm okay with this. But otherwise, you're wanting it to where it is coming together. It's feeling good, kind of like a Play-Doh in a way. And you can see, I mean, it's staying, if I mush it, it's going to stay together. So it is moist. That's what we're going for. But do know that if you've made masa harina with the instant stuff, you did not nixtamal it yourself. This does not feel as soft as that stuff, probably because it is able to be milled a lot finer than what I'm able to do. So we're now going to see how this does with tortillas. Now, they say masienda that you may not be able to get a puff doing it this way and milling it by hand, but we're going to see if I'm able to get a puff. If I can't, it's okay. We're still looking for soft, pliable tortillas. And again, if it just doesn't quite work out as what I'm wanting, then I'm going to fry these babies up into tostadas, and they're going to be perfect for frying up. Now, when it comes to making tortillas, you need to have a bit of assembly line set up ready to go. So we have our masa, we have our basket with a towel that we use to cover their tortillas as soon as they're done, because whenever the tortillas are cooked, you put them in here and you want them covered so they can be steaming a bit, and that's what softens them further. And then, of course, we have our tortilla press. This one I got from Masienda. And then this I'm super excited about because it's new. This is a comal that Masienda sells, but it's made by Made In, which is a fantastic company. I have been dying to get my hands on their cookware. So this is my first piece and I'm uber excited about it. I seasoned it per the direction. So we're going to see how it works here. I'm used to using my cast iron griddle. So those work just fine. Or if you have a nonstick skillet, you know, that can work. So let's get these going. Okay, so make sure that you have the plastic here. I would not use the, you know, grocery bags per se, or sorry, Ziploc bags because they're a bit thicker, but you can if you want to. But bottom line, we have the plastic here and then we're just going to press. And this is an excellent press. I find that I only really need to press once, but these I may press twice because my husband does like them very thin. So it's really personal preference. If you like them thicker, that's fine. Oh, but look at the texture. Look at all of that beautiful texture. Okay, so I take the top off. I'm going to do this. I then carefully remove the bottom, and then that is pretty hot. And we're going to put that baby down. And then we get the next one going. And on each side, I will say this is where it all depends on your stovetop, your heat, the pan you're using. Every time I have moved, I've had to relearn how to do tortillas because it changes with every oven. Whenever I finally replace this horrible electric oven with gas, I'll have to relearn again. Okay, so that's looking good. It's curling up here. So we want to go ahead and flip. All right, and we're watching it. So you're just going to start to see it cook roughly about 20 to 30 seconds on each side. And you're just going to know, like it kind of starts to shrink up a bit on the side. Kind of looks like it's drying on the sides. It's just cooking. Okay. I say, I love this. I love this skillet. This is great. Oh, come on. Okay, and I think that's good. We're going to flip it over. And now is where, look at that. It is puffing. It is puffing a little bit. Oh, look at me. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, so a way if it's not puffing, kind of if you press down on the edges, and then that really helps it to start puffing up. Now, it's not puffing up as much as my other tortillas, but y'all, that is a good puff. We're going to go ahead and take that, set that aside. And now let's do the next one. Now my tortilla baskets, I do have a lid and that's easier than like folding the towels back down. So I'm just putting that on. Okay, so let's do this one. All right, there. So again, you're gonna kind of notice. Now you'll know you won't be able to flip this if it's not cooked on one side because it'll just stick and fall apart. So that's a good indication the first time you put it down, if it's cooked well enough, because you're able to actually move it. Okay, and I'm starting to see, again, you can't see this on camera, but you will notice like these edges are starting to come up. And that is my indication that this is ready to flip. And I was able to get my spatula under there. Now, when this becomes seasoned more, I'll be able to actually flip it by hand. But not doing that right now because I'm trying to teach y'all. Okay, so you kind of can't see, but it's puffed up just a little bit. Let's see if we can help it here. So it's very difficult to get it, but it did puff up a little bit. Now with the tortillas I make from the already made masa harina, I can always get those to puff up very well. So the fact that these are puffing up a little bit, I am pleased. I am pleased because again, I'm doing this by hand. I'm not doing it by those machines like you get, you know, like they're doing for the actual dried masa harina. And so I'm pretty pleased. And you may have to adjust your heat as you go if you notice that, you know, it's starting to burn a little bit before it's ready to flip, then that means you need to turn the heat down. So if it's burning before it's cooking, heat goes down. And especially with these electric ovens, I have found that I usually do have to adjust the temperature a bit. All right, it's coming up. Flip. And again, roughly anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds on each side. And you're just going to get a feel for it. So this side, I notice it's starting to come up just ever so slightly. So that's whenever I flip it, kind of do this. Let's see if we can get that puff. All right, I'm going to adjust my heat down just a little bit. Now, this is why you want to steam, because right now this feels kind of hard, not kind of hard, but not as soft as a tortilla should be. So that's why we steam them. So they go in the tortilla basket, covered, and they're going to get nice and soft doing that. What gives it that puff is steam getting trapped in here on the inside, and that's what gives it puff. And usually what helps give it that puff is very, very thin tortillas and the and fine flour that you have. So if you're not able to mill as fine, you may not get the puff, but that's okay. It is still going to be a good tortilla. So don't be discouraged. Again, even me, I find that I can get it to puff way more whenever I am using just regular masa harina, not what I have nixtamalized myself. And again, I do have a 10% off coupon code for y'all that is just good for the month of August. So you can get your masa harina, your if you want your corn to nixtamalize yourself. So great time to buy. All right, there we go with that one. That one's a little bit bigger. So here we are with our tortillas. They are done. Now to serve, these are tortilla baskets. If you don't have this, no problem. Bowl, towel. Very simple. You just like to keep them covered. These keep them warm and they soften them. So to serve, I like to take them out and be careful because they are hot, and quickly flip them, because then that means your oldest ones are now on top, which means they will be the softest, and put them back. And now all right, so this is a beautiful little tortilla. Now let's see if we can do this trick here. Oh, not quite as tight. There we go. And the ability to do that means you've got a good tortilla. So that is really good. Now, if you wanted to turn these into tostados or tortilla chips, you either just fry it like this for tostados, or you cut it into quarters and fry it for tortilla chips. Now, that is another video because there are some tips and tricks about that, but that's the gist of it. So now this is ready. These are going to set aside until we are ready to eat and serve up that pozole rojo. It's going to be good. Y'all, you've got to try this recipe if you have not yet. So the great thing about pozole is, if making the corn tortillas is intimidating to you, you can still nixtamalize your corn. That's it right there in the pozole. So there's no grinding or anything like that. And you can have this pozole and it's delicious. We just serve it with diced up lettuce, some diced up onion, diced up cilantro. You can see my dog right there is super excited about it. She did not get any. And then we also add the queso fresco on top as well. And then serve it with the tortillas that we made. So I'm telling you, this is to level up your Taco Tuesday and something different than tacos. This is authentic Mexican food. My family loved it. I'll link it for y'all in the description box below. And then for dessert tonight, we actually had flan, which is one of those desserts, I have to say, that seems harder than it is, but this turned out great as well. And if you want to learn more about masienda, then be sure to check out this video here. I did a full review of their corn, their masa harina. I absolutely love them. But hopefully you enjoy these meals. Let me know in the comments below if you make them. And as always, I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a great day.